Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday, CQ, 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 which means we'd like to talk to anybody. And that anybody is especially you. I'm Stan, the radio man, and interesting ideas and its derivatives is about trying to help you in the midst of these chaotic and challenging and perhaps opportunity times to begin to do, think, be things that will be different. This program is not for you if you don't want to change in some way. If you are just looking for help, we might be able to help you. But here's the deal. If you really want to get help, you'll probably have to change. You're going to have to change what you do, maybe change how you think. Certainly, you're going to have to change a little bit of how you act, and perhaps have some ideas that will be helpful to you. And I'm going to take a unusual way, not really unusual, it's something I do quite often, is I'm going to use Donald Trump as a metaphor, as not a model, but a metaphor, and he will be the way that I will make an example of what you should do. And of course, you realize that in the little video program that was also an audio program where I said 3 things you can learn about Donald, whether you like him or not. And those of you who did participate in that realize I made no real partisan statement. I simply described the man and a little bit about what he can do and what you could learn from them. All of them. Well, we're going to do the same thing today because I'm going to simply say this. Okay, Donald, tell me who you got. Tell me, Donald, right now. You got the nomination, but who do you got on your team, on your posse, on your friend list, perhaps on your enemy list? Tell me, Donald, who you got. And we're going to start that program right now. Now, it's something I've always said. I've said it for a long time, not always. But it has been re-emerging in my life because I have recently been asked to help a gentleman put together a brand new, after a very, very successful career and business. He wants to do something new that is much more in line now with the changes he wants to make in himself and the changes that he wants to talk about. As he will say, I was primarily very successful in the transaction business. Somebody wanted something, and I helped them buy it. I sold it and helped service it from time to time. And I did a good job of that. But now I'm a little bit more in the transformation business. I've made it, but now I have the resources and perhaps a little more of the wisdom. And one of the questions I'm going to ask him just a few days from now is, hey, what is wisdom to you? Are you wise? How does one acquire wisdom? How do you teach wisdom? Okay, he's there, and he has put together an idea about what perhaps a reimagined vision of the political structures, the government should be. And it's very well done. It's certainly visionary. It certainly isn't an immediate reality. But it may give us some ideas of how we should think, not only about how we organize our government, which has political power, but maybe how we should organize other things in our life and business. And that's a little bit about what I'm about. What I would simply say is this. He says, and I say, okay, we've got you. Who's on your team? In fact, we're not going to choose you. We're not going to vote for you until you tell us who you got. And so, in effect, start naming them. And what I would challenge if I were coaching Donald Trump is, okay, you got your initial thrust, obviously. You didn't want it that way, but the fact that you escaped an assassination attempt certainly gave you a platform to demonstrate what you got. And then you had a event, and it was well choreographed, well put together. It was a show. Well, of course it was a show. Donald Trump's a showman. He always has been. He's a bit of a warrior, he's a bit of an entrepreneur, and he's been a showman all his life. That's what he is. And if you do it for 50 years, you get pretty good at it after a while. Just like I've been on radio for many years, so I ought to do at least pretty well. Well, okay, now what you got? Well, right off the bat, he chooses J.D. Vance, someone who is actually half his age, almost exactly. Think about that. Not a generation younger, at least another generation younger, maybe even younger than that. And he's a young man, but he's made his mark. And just like in The Apprentice, Donald Trump chose him because what he wants is to create a person out of whatever character qualities are there. And obviously the background is very different, but he's going to try and create, in some fashion, Trump #2. Somebody who could perhaps be in the position to carry on the business, to continue on the vision, who after he has taken his well-deserved retirement, though he will never fully retire, that when he decides to tone it down, step it down, he will have a successor in place. And if he doesn't have the successor exactly in place, he also has people that could be successors. And that's a little bit about what I would like to know. Who do you trust? Who do you trust? And so I would ask Donald Trump and say, okay, energy is a big deal in the economy. Who is going to be in charge of energy? Who can influence the price of gasoline and diesel fuel? What about coal? What about electricity? Ironically, if you want electric cars, okay, is that a big deal? Let us know. If you want to use AI, you are talking about an incredible increase in electricity, both in terms of its use. We need to have the energy to produce it, and we need to have the means to distribute it. Who is doing energy? I'd like to know that. I think, now, who would you like to know? Okay, one of the fundamental things you need to do if you're the leader of a country is you're supposed to protect the people. All right. Who is going to be in charge of national defense and perhaps from time to time national offense? Who is going to be the chief person that you're going to work with, who is going to advise you on that very, very, very powerful and important element of protection? Who would that be? I'd like to know. Number 3. What would that be? Well, I think one of the things that would be interesting, at least for me, is who will be the person who will help us maintain good, healthy, and plentiful food. The industry of agriculture, food and clothing, is one that must be nurtured, in some cases protected. Certainly, it's something that we want to have control over. Who is going to be the person who will give us some of the things we need to know that the grocery shelves will be fairly full and fairly priced. I think I'd like to know those three. Now, if he's really smart, he'll start naming them now, all of the cabinet appointments. And that does a couple things for him. First of all, it obviously keeps the conversation going. And he may actually find in that naming that if they have anything in their background or their history, and that all of a sudden that emerges, he will be able to discover if there's any scandal or anything else that is in their background, even previous to his appointing them in that position. And then he can do, which every good CEO has the ability and perhaps the right to do, is say, I'm sorry, I have changed my mind. This is not going to work out, so I'm sorry, you are not hired. Or if they have been hired, now in good Donald Trump fashion, he'll say, I don't know if he'd say I'm sorry, but you're fired. You're fired. Now, that's why I'm saying that is what we need. That we do not just choose the man or the woman. We are choosing a group of us who will be in the leadership of us. And they will be strong people. They will be people who are not afraid to say, as any good CEO would know, and many of them are not good, Mr. President, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then, if he's smart, he will say, oh, really? Tell me why. Tell me more. And it will be in the conflict and the consensus of conversations that perhaps true common wisdom might emerge. Now, I don't know, the Democrats don't know. Supposedly, the Vice President, Kamala Harris, is one of the leading contenders, but who knows whether she will make it to actually be the person who is nominated. Because in the next 4 weeks, because she has at least claimed the #1 spot, she is, of course, now in the #1 target, both for those who are opposed to her politically, but there will be people who are opposed to her personality or personally or in the policies advocated in the past. She will draw, of course, admiration and commendation, but she will also draw fire and attempts at her destruction. So, we will see, which is a word that the wise people will use from time to time. I prefer, as this presidential election, I may have preferences, but what I'm really going to try and do is, what can I learn about this whole process? And by the way, of course, why I've been talking about this for a while is I learned something from the master entrepreneur, and I'll share that with you, if I can talk right, in just a few moments after we come back. After its creation, after its crisis and COVID crash, we're back. We are back. Good old, we're back style. Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're back. We're back with the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience, which comes from the Christian Entrepreneur Network. And our job, our mission, is to help you discover the power that comes from Jesus, not only what he claimed to be, but the master entrepreneur who can help you to build a world-class business. And one of the things we talk about is the 3-12-70 project and principle. This is one of the most important lessons that you will learn if you want to be a leader. 3-12-70. It's the formula for how you choose and build your leadership team, your posse, your followers, your network, the people of influence. It will be how you will be successful. Because if Jesus would have done it alone, it wouldn't have worked. There were other people and other sources of power and influence that he knew how to use and how to care for and share with others. So I ask you to reach out to me, because we are here now to teach you that powerful life principle. The 3-12-70. How to build a world-class company in 3 years. Wouldn't you like to know more about that? All right, here we go. Here's the pitch. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. That means you may want to at least investigate, check me out, smell it out, whether you want to join this going and growing group of people who intend to not only survive, but thrive and share that thriving and that gifting and that good stuff with others. If that's who you want to be, we can help you be one of the 3% who know who they are, know what they want, and they have a plan and a purpose and poise and power to be fully alive and make sure that they have fully lived the life they were born for, made for, or called for, or just simply have fallen into by grace and they enjoy it there. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. Best and blessings to you. I really mean that. And if you will say thank you, I guarantee you, my saying that and you saying thank you actually achieved something. It really did. Take care, my friend. Bye for now.